What's going on, guys? Kevin here to bring you a brand new video today. Today we're going to be going over day 30 of Horror October. Yes, it has indeed been 30 days, and we've watched 30 movies now. It's pretty crazy, honestly. And today is indeed Halloween. I know things are definitely different this year, but I hope you guys are finding some way to enjoy your Halloween, whether it be watching some movies or just eating a bunch of candy or dressing up in a costume at home or whatnot. But either way, for today's movie that we watched, the movie that we decided to watch today, because I couldn't watch it yesterday, is Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. The exact same name of the movie that I watched on day 30 last year. Yes, this was planned way in advance. I was holding out on this movie for the longest time. But yeah, this movie is a remake of the 1970s original movie, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, that I had watched on day 30 last year. So I figured, let's watch another movie called Don't Be Afraid of the Dark on the same day. And I feel like this version isn't quite as good just because, like, in general, like, it is a little bit repetitive, of course, because it's a remake, but that shouldn't stop it from still being a good movie. But also, just like, a lot of the story is really like bland and cliche and not very exciting. I mean, also, like, I do want to add on to the next clip that as we've gotten this late into Horror October, it has been tough to really like stay into movies lately. Just specifically with this one, just watching this one, it was hard to really like stay in it for the full time. So I did have to take some breaks during it. When I watched this movie, I took like so many breaks. I probably took 3 or 4 breaks in between watching it, including in the last 20 minutes. I took a break. So yeah, but I'm still trying to enjoy the films, and I'm able to see what's good about the film at least, even if I'm not like super into it and super into staying for the whole time, like concurrently. But yeah, I have a good idea of how I feel about this movie, and it's honestly not. It's not terrible, but it's also not that good. Just because, like, the screenplay was actually made by Guillermo del Toro, who's a pretty big director, pretty well known. And honestly, the screenplay, Guillermo, kind of shit. Not gonna lie, dude. Like, this whole premise is that, like, it follows the original where, like, these people like get into this house and they find these things that were trapped in this like oven or whatever, and they take off like the grate, and like these things get out and they want to like steal life essentially. So they start like haunting this little girl, and in the middle of all that, this little girl and her dad's girlfriend are dealing with like these family issues where the girl had moved in with them when she was previously living with her mom, and now she had moved in with them at this house. And she was like, didn't necessarily like want to be there and felt uncomfortable, and then the monsters show up and it's even more uncomfortable. I mean, like, kind of fits the movie overall, but also like not that well. I mean, like, it's not bad, but it's also just like not super interesting. But I think it fits it like well enough to the point where like it makes it like a decent cohesive movie, when you put it all together, as far as like this girl like being wary of this new area and then having to like be wary of these monsters. And I think like the monsters are pretty well designed. They look kind of cool. I kind of like them, and it's definitely like entertaining at definitely a lot of points where like they're having to like deal with the monsters, like, and like she's trying to like shoo them away or not get killed by them basically. But there's a couple glaring cliches in this movie that really bother me. One being that this girl is like Sally, the little girl, is seeing like all these monsters and like is telling them all this stuff, and it's the classic like they don't want to believe them cliche that we've seen so many times. So like her dad doesn't want to believe her, and neither does the girlfriend. And then like and then you have the even worse cliche where the psychologist, she sees like a psychologist, and the psychologist is like, oh, tell me more about these monsters, and like listens to her like she's telling the truth. And then he like talks to the dad and the girlfriend, and he's like, this girl has all these fantasies, these are imaginary creatures that she's conjured up, she must go on more medicine, like because she was already taking medicine. And and like he's like, she must go on more medicine, like, oh my fucking god, dude. And then the fucking dad like still refuses to believe it after like the girlfriend like went and found like clear cut evidence of like the history of the house. She went to like a library and like found out all about the house's history and like these things that had, killed someone back then. And the guy was like, oh, you really gonna believe this stuff? Like, come on. Like, oh my god. That just bothers me so much, man. Like, give it a rest. Like, okay, you don't believe it. Cool. Like, it's not like fun. It doesn't make the movie good to just keep saying, well, that's not true. There's no way that can be real. Like, I mean, like the way the movie plays out otherwise is decent. I mean, when I paused it when there's 20 minutes left, I was like, yeah, I think that I think the guy is gonna get fucked because he didn't believe them that much, and he's gonna die from them. But he actually doesn't get fucked. It's actually the girlfriend, Kim, who gets fucked by the things. So that was, I guess, kind of a twist. So I guess it was kind of good, but I mean, still, this movie in general is just fairly average, I'd say. Guy Pearce delivers a pretty average performance, and the story is just also like average, and like the scary stuff is also just kind of average. The girl, Bailey Madison, is actually pretty decent in this, though. I liked her. The little girl, Sally. I thought she did decently well in this. I definitely have like mixed feelings about this movie because there were definitely some things that I enjoyed, but there were also like some things that I really did not enjoy. I think I'm gonna rate this movie a 6.8 out of 10. So that's what I'm gonna have to give it. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for the final episode of Horror October 2020, and make sure to like the video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to see more content, and we'll see you in the next one.